3 future revolutions in saucer spacecrafts. Imagine a spacecraft shaped like a massive metallic saucer, a smooth toroidal vessel, hovering silently in deep space. But this is no ordinary craft. According to a radical theoretical concept known as the Neutrino Bubble Shield, the saucer does not merely fly around obstacles, it can phase directly through matter itself. At first glance, the idea sounds impossible. How could a physical object pass through solid rock, steel, or even an entire planet without colliding with atoms? The answer lies in one of the strangest particles in the universe, the neutrino. Neutrinos are nearly massless subatomic particles produced by stars, supernovas, and nuclear reactions. Trillions of them are passing through your body right now. They move through planets almost untouched because they interact so weakly with normal matter. To a neutrino, solid steel is almost as transparent as empty space. Now imagine an advanced civilization discovering a way to imitate this property on the scale of an entire spacecraft. The saucer's toroidal geometry is essential to the process. While the craft appears disc-shaped from the outside, internally it contains circular energy systems arranged in powerful rotating layers. These systems generate an immense electromagnetic vortex around the hull, forming what could be described as a neutrino permeability bubble, a field that alters how the craft interacts with ordinary matter. Under normal conditions, matter cannot pass through matter because the electrons and atoms repel one another. That electromagnetic repulsion is what gives the world its solidity. But the neutrino bubble shield theorizes that if the saucer could temporarily weaken or bypass those interactions, it could move through solid objects without resistance. In effect, the craft would become ghost-like. Imagine the saucer descending directly into the Earth without drilling. Mountains, oceans, and underground structures would no longer be barriers. The craft would not smash through matter, it would phase through it, slipping between atomic interactions the way neutrinos pass through planets. Observers might witness bizarre distortions surrounding the vehicle. Light could bend unnaturally near the hull. Radar signals might pass through it or scatter unpredictably. The air itself could shimmer as space-time fluctuations ripple outward from the shield bubble. But the field would not only allow the saucer to pass through solid matter, the same bubble could shield the occupants from radiation, atmospheric friction, and even extreme acceleration forces. If the craft partially disconnects itself from ordinary inertia, maneuvers that would normally destroy biological beings could feel smooth and effortless inside the ship. Some speculative physicists suggest the technology may go even further. Rather than merely moving through matter, the saucer could briefly shift into an altered quantum state, a condition where its atoms no longer interact fully with normal spacetime. In this state, the craft might appear to vanish, reappear instantly, or perform movements that seem physically impossible to outside observers. Of course, the dangers would be enormous. A failure in the field while inside solid matter could be catastrophic. The energy requirements alone might rival the output of stars. Maintaining a stable neutrino-like interaction state would demand levels of precision and power far beyond anything humanity currently possesses. Still, the concept remains fascinating because it offers a possible explanation for reports of objects behaving in ways conventional aircraft cannot. Silent movement, impossible acceleration, sudden disappearance, and even apparent passage through solid objects. The neutrino bubble shield remains speculative science fiction for now. But it challenges one of our deepest assumptions about reality itself, that solid matter is truly solid. Because if matter can become transparent under the right conditions, then perhaps the universe is far stranger than we ever imagined. The neutrino bubble shield was only the beginning. According to the second stage of the theory, the saucer-shaped toroidal craft is not limited to phasing through solid matter. Its true purpose is far more extraordinary. The creation of artificial connections between distant points in space itself. At the center of the craft lies an ultra-dense rotating plasma core, a contained vortex of ionized matter energized to extreme levels. But this plasma is not ordinary. The theory proposes that under precise electromagnetic conditions, the plasma enters a state of quantum entanglement on a macroscopic scale, linking separate regions of spacetime together. In simple terms, the craft creates two connected locations that behave like opposite ends of the same tunnel, Imagine space not as emptiness, but as a fabric woven together by invisible quantum relationships. Normally, traveling from one point to another requires crossing the distance in between, but the plasma entangled field changes the geometry itself. Instead of moving across space, the craft folds connectivity between two coordinates. The toroidal saucer acts like a giant space-time resonator. Circular electromagnetic currents rotate around the disk at immense speeds, stabilizing the plasma field into a coherent structure. Once synchronized, the craft projects what researchers might call a dual-node quantum bridge, two regions of space locked into energetic correspondence. To outside observers, the effect could resemble a glowing distortion in the air. Light near the field might twist and stretch as gravity and electromagnetism begin interfering with local space-time geometry. The portal itself could appear as a shimmering sphere, a rotating ring of plasma, or even a dark circular absence where stars seem warped or displaced. Then the impossible happens. An object entering one side of the field exits instantly from the connected point, regardless of the distance separating them. No acceleration, no travel time, no crossing of the space between. The craft itself may serve as both the generator and navigator of the portal system. One saucer could establish the first quantum anchor while another establishes the second. Once entangled, the plasma fields synchronize like two ends of the same vibrating structure. Some versions of the theory suggest the portals are not holes in space at all, but regions where space-time frequencies temporarily overlap. The ship does not move through a tunnel. It shifts into a state where two distant coordinates become locally adjacent. In this interpretation, the universe behaves less like a rigid physical environment and more like an informational network, whose connections can be rewritten, but the energy demands would be staggering. Creating a stable entangled plasma bridge might require gravitational manipulation, exotic matter, or power outputs comparable to stars. Even a microscopic instability could collapse the field violently, releasing massive bursts of radiation or tearing apart anything caught inside. A slight miscalculation in quantum alignment could connect the portal to empty space, the interior of a star, or an entirely unintended region of spacetime. And yet, if such technology were possible, it would transform civilization completely. Interstellar distances would become meaningless. Worlds separated by light years could communicate instantly. Exploration, trade, and even colonization of distant galaxies could occur without conventional spacecraft ever traveling in the normal sense. The implications become even stranger when combined with the Neutrino Bubble Shield, a saucer capable of phasing through matter and generating space-time portals would appear almost supernatural to less advanced civilizations, vanishing into mountains, emerging from oceans, crossing impossible distances instantly, and ignoring the physical barriers that define ordinary life, not because it breaks the laws of physics, but because it operates from a deeper understanding of them. But perhaps the most extraordinary capability of the toroid saucer is not its ability to phase through matter or create space-time portals. It is its ability to cross the light barrier itself. For over a century, modern physics has treated the speed of light as the ultimate cosmic limit. As an object approaches light speed, its mass effectively increases, requiring more and more energy, until infinite energy would theoretically be needed to go faster. But the saucer does not attempt to overpower this limit. Instead, it attempts to bypass the conditions that create it. According to the theory, the craft's propulsion system works by generating a highly compressed space-time distortion field around the vessel, a dynamic bubble where the normal relationship between space, time, inertia, and energy begins to change. At the core of the saucer, immense plasma vortices rotate through superconductive toroidal chambers. These rotating plasma streams create ultra-powerful gravitational and electromagnetic harmonics that begin interacting directly with the quantum vacuum itself, the underlying energetic structure of empty space. The craft is no longer merely moving through space-time, it is engineering space-time around itself. As the field intensifies, the region in front of the saucer contracts, while the region behind it expands. The ship effectively rides inside a moving distortion wave, similar to how a surfer rides an ocean wave without generating the wave itself. Inside the bubble, the craft may technically remain stationary relative to its local spacetime frame, while space itself moves around it faster than light. This avoids one of the greatest problems in physics, locally breaking the speed of light barrier. Instead of accelerating through spacetime faster than light, the saucer carries its own pocket of spacetime with it. To outside observers, the effects would appear astonishing. The craft might elongate visually, surrounded by intense gravitational lensing. Light around the hole could bend into luminous arcs or disappear entirely. Radio signals might distort unpredictably. As the ship approaches superluminal transition, it could appear to flicker, blur, or vanish completely. Then comes what theorists call barrier decoupling. At extreme field densities, the craft's neutrino bubble, plasma entanglement systems, and spacetime distortion engine synchronize into a unified state. In this condition, the saucer partially disconnects from conventional relativistic constraints. Time dilation effects become unstable. Inertia weakens. Distance itself begins to lose conventional meaning. The ship enters what some physicists might describe as a superluminal corridor state, a region where spacetime geometry permits effective faster-than-light displacement. Some versions of the theory suggest the craft momentarily shifts into a higher-dimensional framework where the normal limits of four-dimensional spacetime no longer apply. In this state, enormous interstellar distances could collapse into traversable pathways, lasting only minutes or hours from the crew's perspective. The dangers, however, would be extreme. An unstable distortion field could tear apart the ship or create devastating gravitational shockwaves. Misaligned spacetime compression might trap the vessel in unpredictable regions of space. At sufficiently high energies, the craft could even generate temporary singularities or uncontrolled quantum fractures in the vacuum itself. And there is an even stranger possibility. If faster-than-light motion alters causality, then the saucer may not simply move through space faster than light, it may also distort the sequence of time itself. Journeys across galaxies could produce relativistic anomalies where cause and effect no longer behave normally. To less advanced civilizations, such craft would appear almost godlike, objects arriving before they are detected, vehicles disappearing without acceleration, silent metallic saucers crossing impossible distances in moments. Not through magic, not through miracles, but through mastery of space-time engineering far beyond current human science. And if such technology is ever achieved, humanity will no longer be confined to planets, solar systems, or even galaxies. The universe itself will become navigable.